This is take three. I tried to do this three times, and just there was interferences or interruptions rather. Um, and I did notice when I looked back and I thought the quality is not good. I realized that my computer camera is not the best, but it will just have to do for now. It's an old machine, but hey ho, it's still going. So what I wanted to chat about and is the idea of being awake or aware of what's going on right now, what's coming, what's happening, what's coming. It's interesting. I consider myself to be aware versus awake. I tend to think of the awake people are the ones who are very psychic, and I don't feel that in myself, but I'm aware. It's almost like I'm aware something's going on, something's happening that's not the thing we're seeing. So I guess a good analogy is like in the Wizard of Oz, is they were looking at Oz up here, but there was something happening behind the curtain. So I'm aware something's going on, but it's not what we're being told. It's kind of like when you say to the toddler who's been eating the chocolate cake and they have it all over their face, they said, "It wasn't me. I wasn't eating it." So it's I'm aware something's happening, but I'm not quite sure exactly. So, but it's interesting, and I look back on my life, and I can see where I can start connecting dots at certain times of my life when things happened, maybe. And I wonder if my higher self has been trying to wake me up for many, many years. I don't know. It's possible. But it's interesting some of the things that I have remember from my all my years on this planet. So, as you can tell by the funny accent, I have an influence from another country, even though I am in Britain at the moment. And so I went through the American school system in my youth, and I remember learning about things like the different empires, like the Roman Empire, and you had the Ottoman Empire, and all the rest of it. And I believe the Roman Empire lasted about 1200 years. Now, I will put a note in there to say I am basing on that on the history that I'm aware of. I love history. I've always loved history. For me, an ideal day out is to a museum because I love history. However, I realize that our history has been hijacked. Either some things have been withheld and other things have been created, and the truth has been distorted a bit so that it makes us believe in a certain storyline. So I now realize that everything I've learned over the years is probably not 100% truthful. However, so if we base it on what I know now, I believe the Rome itself as a stronghold, I think lasted about 1200 years. So I remember as a teenager having a thought at some point, um, that I wonder when the American Empire would fall. And I never thought it would be in my lifetime, but I feel that's going to happen in the coming years. Now, whether I will be physically here for it, I don't know. I mean, I could be gone tomorrow. We don't know how long our lives are, but it's interesting that I think that I feel now that we will see the end of the American Empire. And to be fair, it has to go. The United States of America, as it is not a country. It's a business. It's a corporation, and it needs to fall. Um, and it needs to change. It needs to evolve, as in lots of places on the planet. Well, actually, the whole planet needs to evolve. We need to change the way things are run and the power structure and all that. But anyway, it's interesting how I can look back and I can see certain things in my life, um, certain thoughts that I had or inspirations I had, and I think, oh, well, this seems to be happening now. Um, and I think again that I probably have had my higher self trying to wake me up for many, many years, and I'm ignoring it. I don't do subtle well. I'll say that I don't do subtle very well at all. Um, but I'm good at, I do think a lot because I tend to, I know I'm quite chatty now, but I am what I call an extreme introvert, and I spend a lot of time just in here. And when I go out and about, I like to just observe what's going on, whether it's nature. I'll sometimes sit in my living room and just look out the window for ages and watch all the wildlife. And then I think things about not just what's going on, the birds eating the, the seed from the feeder, but maybe think beyond that about nature in general or the earth. Or, I mean, I will just keep expanding those thoughts because I just think about all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Some things are a bit weird. Yeah, definitely. I have some weird, some weird things. But it's, I guess, how you learn about how nature works and everything is to be curious about it, and the dynamics of what goes on in the plant and animal kingdom. So I am a great observer of things. And it's interesting because when I was a teenager and I saw my peers kind of finding their direction, a lot of them knew what they wanted to study. They wanted to go off to higher education. They had specific things they wanted to study. They wanted to become a whatever, doctor, nurse, fireman, whatever. So they had a bit of a direction and they knew where they wanted to go, and I never did. And I had this thought that um, at some point, and I thought it would be at some point, maybe in within about a decade, that I would have an idea of what I want to be when I grow up. Because you ask a little kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? And as kids, we have no boundaries to that because we have our imaginations are free. We're not told at that point that, oh well, don't even think about doing that because you won't be able to. So a little kid will tell you they want to be everything and anything. They might even tell you they want to be an apple tree because their imaginations are like that. um, and then at some point our imaginations are dampened, which I think is really, really sad. And then we come to be grown up, and you know we've kind of lost that spark. I think the real trick is never to lose that spark. You know, I still climb trees, so that's my kind of connection to childhood. And recently, I've realized that I miss roller skating, and I want to buy a pair of roller skates. So I'm gonna be the old lady roller skating down the street. Anyway, so it was interesting to see other people have an idea of what direction they want to take their lives, and then I felt like, well, I don't know now, but certainly within the next handful of years, something will come forward that I think, that's the thing I want to gravitate towards. So I've worked, majority of my life I've worked. I've been a homemaker at some times in my life, but the majority of my time I've worked. Majority of my working life has been office based, which is fine. I enjoyed the different roles that I did. They all, well, I'm not saying that was 100% great fun. There are challenges, especially with sitting in commuter traffic or dealing with some of the office politics stuff that goes on. But generally, I've been very lucky with the roles. I've always fell into jobs, which sounds really weird, but I've fell into every job. I've never had what I call a career. I've never had a high-powered job, um, but I've always been able to pay my bills, which is important to me, and feed myself, which is important to me. And yeah, but I still had in the back of my mind at some point I would find that thing that I want to do. And I still don't know. Still don't know what I want to be. And so I always felt a certain disconnect because I felt like I've been plopped here and I don't know what I'm meant to do. And I realized that this is a planet of free will, so we can make our choices. However, we all have different strengths and weaknesses. So, for example, I like music, but if I wanted to be a violinist, probably I wouldn't do it because I have tried to play instruments in my life and I've been really bad at it. Just going to move that. Um, yeah, so I don't have a predisposition to music as far as being able to play an instrument, but so I have to find what my strength is. Now, is it possible my strength is office work? Maybe, but in a spiritual way, I can't see that we would want to incarnate somewhere where we just do office work because I think that's very soul destroying, very literally soul destroying. Um, so it's interesting how I see this kind of theme throughout my life where sometimes I've been given little glimpses of stuff, and then this idea that I have always wanted a purpose but never knew a purpose. And then about a year and a bit ago, so maybe before the whole chaos kicked off, I just had this feeling in me, and I can't put it into words really, just feeling that my purpose was coming. There's something coming, and you're going to find your purpose. And it was it was kind of nice, and but I feel it would have been nicer to have it when I was younger and maybe had more energy and just maybe wanted to well, I guess energy is the main thing, and to be able to do more with it, whatever the purpose is. Because you imagine that when you have a purpose in life, you're going to have to do a certain amount of study, or you'll have to learn things, or um, and that takes time. So potentially, I could spend the rest of my life studying for something. I mean, I don't even know what it is I'm here to do, but it's just interesting to see these little things I've been drip fed through my life with that overarching of wanting a purpose and not feeling that I'm finding it or what it is. It's not come into my brain. So it's just fascinating. And knowing what I know now, but then we're all like this with hindsight. Knowing what we know now, would we have led a different life? We would have made different choices. I probably would have made different choices in my life, knowing what I know now. So it's but hindsight's great. We all say the youth is wasted on the young, because as we get older, we get more wise, and we think, gosh, if I was 17 again, I would have probably chose to study this or done this or hung out with those people instead or whatever it was. So, but hindsight's great. Anyway, I'm going to stop now so that this video doesn't become too long, and it's I don't want to rattle on. Anyway, thank you for listening, and namaste.